Hello, everybody. Welcome to Watchful I Studio's channel. I wanted to do kind of a 2020 wrap up, as well as what I am trying to accomplish for this channel for 2021. So let's start off with what was behind us. 2020 was a pretty turbulent year. There was a lot going on, both for Watchful I Studio itself and on a personal level. Obviously, we had COVID, which presented a lot of problems, particularly for Watchful I Studio. If you're not familiar with the business, this Watchful I Studio started about 5 years ago. We've had a couple successful Kickstarters, and we are trying to get through our second Kickstarter at the moment, which has taken a little bit longer than we anticipated. We had some manufacturing and some design issues, and coupled with COVID and all of the supply issues and shipping problems that COVID basically created, it has caused a longer than usual delay in our delivery for all of our backers. I know some of them have been a little frustrated with trying to get their toys, particularly for the ones in Europe, with Brexit and tax increases and things of that nature. Unfortunately, it was unavoidable. We tried our best to get everything out the door. We probably got close to 75–80% of the products delivered prior to things like Brexit happening. But those manufacturing issues and supply issues that COVID created ended up delaying our final items, which we're working on right now. So hopefully by end of first quarter 2021, we should have that Kickstarter behind us and can move forward. One of the things that I've decided as a business that I was going to do was hold off on any further Kickstarters until we 100% completed delivery of the Kickstarter that has already ended, which was the Terracotta Army Kickstarter. That was a decision that I have made, and even though I've had some backers support me in saying, hey, you can start another Kickstarter just as long as we get our stuff in a timely manner, and I appreciate that, and I will definitely take that in consideration going into 2021, depending on how our production and shipping ends up. With working with a UK-based partner for not only delivering the products in Europe, obviously he is producing a lot of the items in this Kickstarter, which has caused even more delays, mainly because of producing things out of the UK, which everybody knows right now is shut down. They're experiencing a pretty huge spike in positive cases, but also it has caused some major shipping delays. Trying to get things out of the UK and into the US has presented its own issues. So we're fighting through all that, and I do really appreciate everybody's patience and understanding with trying to get this sorted out. We are very excited to finally fulfill that Kickstarter and get it completed, move on to other projects, which we will basically talk about right now. So for 2021, one of the things that we want to do is obviously fulfill the Terracotta Kickstarter, get that sorted out. And Watchful I Studio has at least 2 other armies that have been sculpted and completed. As many of you may know and have reached out to me and are highly anticipating the release of the Ancient Indian range. We have a historical version of that army sculpted, and all but the chariots and war elephants are in production molds and have been produced in metal. And I have a inventory of them in my home. So when we do launch that Kickstarter, it should run a lot smoother because we were trying to anticipate these delays and issues moving forward, and making sure that when we say we're going to deliver a Kickstarter at a certain date, by golly, we're going to do it. So I will launch that Indian Kickstarter as soon as I get the chariots and war elephants in production molds and have an inventory of them. So hopefully that will be again within the first quarter of 2021. I'm really looking forward to seeing that range released. I've actually had it sculpted for probably 2 or 3 years now, and was planning on releasing this range after the Terracotta Kickstarter. But as I mentioned, with the delays of that Kickstarter, it has put off the Indian release. We weren't sitting idle while these ranges were waiting to be launched. We also have a complete Warring States Chinese range sculpted. We have essentially light infantry and heavy infantry, along with officers, cavalry, and alternate charioteers that can mount in our current chariot. So that is a full historical range as well. You can incorporate it with the existing Qin Dynasty range to give you a very unique and interesting look to your army. Or you can run them independently. Obviously, there was a wide variety of armor types and weapon types in the Warring States era, allows you to have a little bit more variety in what your state essentially would look like. On top of that, we also are going to be releasing a fantasy range for the Indians, which will be quite an extensive range that will allow you to build them as their own independent army or add them into the historical ranges. The purpose of these fantasy ranges are to allow players to build new armies and new looks to games that are out there in the marketplace at the moment. For example, Kings of War or Ninth Age, or even Warhammer, the Warhammer Armies project has books that these ranges will work beautifully for. And I hope people take a look at those. And I'm really excited about the Indian fantasy range to release. There's some amazing sculpts in there, and we do base all of the ranges off of legends and myths and folklore and religious deities and things of that nature. We pay as much respect and homage to those religious figures as we can. And you'll see that there's also a lot of hidden kind of Easter eggs within those miniatures to pay that respect. The Warring States range will also get a few new fantasy items as well. Although since they're essentially a counterpart to the existing Qin Dynasty range, most of the fantasy elements are already out. But there are some things that I wanted to revisit in the Chinese range, a few more war machines and some other fantasy elements that we didn't touch upon. Moving forward for Watchful I Studio, I would like to take a very close look at the essentially the nomads that surrounded essentially the first Chinese empire, the Qin Dynasty, and make them an independent army as well, with a wider variety of cavalry types. Obviously, some chieftains, officers, shamans, miniatures on foot, that kind of thing. And they will also get their own fantasy range as well, which will be very symbiotic to the nomads and be more of the monsters and legends that live, in the mountains, the woods, things of that nature. A little bit more of the kind of the wild aspect to the fantasy range. Again, this range will be thematic towards armies that exist in current game systems. So you'll be able to use these for, Ninth Age and Warhammer Fantasy Battles and Kings of War as well. Not to mention other games like Warlords of Erehwon and game systems like Saga Age of Magic. Moving forward, the purpose of this YouTube channel is also to create hobby content for Watchful I Studio, as well as for my personal projects outside of essentially what Watchful I Studio produces and manufactures. I try to balance my personal time between working on the business, but also taking some free time for myself. And I have armies and game systems that I like to work in outside of my own miniature ranges. So I will continue to produce content for those game systems, which will include things like Age of Sigmar, Warhammer 40,000, Flames of War, World War III Team Yankee, the Vietnam system, Kings of War, armies outside of what Watchful I Studio represents. Saga Age of Magic, Warlords of Erehwon, A Song of Ice and Fire. Basically, anything that I own that I enjoy hobbying with and wanting to paint and assemble, I would like to share with you that content and those experiences as I work on them. So with that being said, there are some video themes that I will be working on. One of which will be a multi-part series walking new players through not only getting into new game systems, but also comparing the dollar value versus the hobby time that you will spend on those respective games. Basically kind of showing you where your value is going to be, how much time and effort you will need or have to put into those respective game systems, and feeling like you're getting some value out of that. A lot of people talk about this being a very expensive hobby, but I think that video series will show everybody that when you include, cleaning, assembling, painting, even before you put the models onto a tabletop and play a game, that you're getting hours of enjoyment out of preparing those forces for play, and that all equates into the money versus time, and hopefully equals value for you. So that series is going to be interesting, and it's going to be showing you some of the major game systems in the marketplace. So it won't be necessarily so Watchful I Studio focused, but more of the game systems that are more common, not only on the internet, but also that you'll find in gaming shops. So that's the fine balance that I have to play with owning a miniatures company, but also being realistic that my miniatures are a niche within a niche, and I know that there are more popular games out there, and I want people to be able to understand how to get in this hobby using some of the more popular brands, and then maybe someday they might see my products and think they're pretty cool and want to do something different. But But realistically, you want to get into the games that are going to be the more popular and the products that are going to be more commonly found in the internet, and also as well as in the retail shops. So I get that. I'm a player. I worked in the industry for over 20 years, so I understand my place in the grand scheme of things. And it's a small part of what's out there, but I hope the people that see Watchful I Studio for what it is enjoy the products that we offer. Some of the other series that we'll be looking at is, I have a friend that will be starting a YouTube channel, and we are talking about doing a cooperative video series about building and painting an Age of Sigmar army, which will work nicely in with the video series about the money versus time, because we won't be covering Age of Sigmar in that series. So it'll be good because we'll cover it in this series. Not to mention, we'll be doing a lot of painting videos, a lot of assembly videos, and we'll be covering all different game systems and aspects, for that particular series. That's where I'll be showing a lot of my Watchful I Studio products and painting series for those. They're nice, clean miniatures. There's not a ton of details on them. They are well detailed and well cast, but they're not laden with stuff. So they're relatively easy to clean, relatively easy to paint and get on the table in a relatively quick manner. So I think that'll be a good video series for people to check out. And of course, I'll be doing more painting art and more painting videos for the game systems as well. The other thing that we'll continue to do are hobby reviews, and as you have seen or may have seen in this channel already, is we've been doing a lot of Flames of War products, a lot of Battlefront products, including World of Tanks, Flames of War World War II, and World War III Team Yankee. We'll continue to do those because I really do like all those game systems, and I have decent access to the products as well, which allows me to build and collect them and pick them up in a relatively quick manner. Not to mention the fact that I'll be doing product reviews for things that I already own. So hopefully we'll see some other game systems as well as some Watchful I Studio products in the future. So overall, 2021, I think, looks bright. I think if we can all get out of this funk that the world has been in, hopefully the vaccine and COVID kind of settles down, we can get back to a little bit more normal behavior, get back out in the stores, get some gaming in, conventions get back up and running. I think it'll be a good thing for all of us. I know a lot of gaming companies have actually done pretty decently during all of this because people have to stay at home and they need something to do. Although it's presented some problems for the smaller companies like myself, because I did sell some decent orders in the beginning, but then ran out of stock. And then because of lockdowns and shipping issues and manufacturing issues, as I discussed earlier, it's really affected my ability to restock as well. So my orders have been quite limited, only based on what I have. So hopefully 2021 will allow me to get a nice restock going and continue to move forward. And I look forward to providing a ton of content for this channel. I will not make any qualms about eventually I would like the channel to be a monetized channel with a Patreon that allows you to do some pretty cool stuff. And I'm thinking of some ideas as we speak, and trying to make it kind of worth your while and your investment. But realistically, the purpose of monetizing the channel down the line will be to use that money not only for the products that will be presented on the channel, but I am all in when it comes to the success of Watchful I Studio, and we are inching very, very, very close to producing hard plastic kits for these Asian ranges, which are not currently available in the marketplace, and they're not very well represented in any casting medium, whether it's resin, metal, or plastic. So I'm really hoping that we can present that to the public and kind of put Watchful I Studio on the map. To go along with the plastics manufacturing, I have been working on a game system as well that will utilize the Watchful I Studio ranges and also offer some civilizations for probably existing ranges out in the marketplace that I will either touch ever or will touch at a very, very later date, mainly because there's some really great miniatures that already exist. I plan on trying to fill the holes that the Asian empires, civilizations, dynasties are really just kind of lacking representation in the marketplace. And I do understand that none of these civilizations will be the $1 million idea, but if it makes you as a gamer a much happier person for having that variety for whatever game system you choose, then that'll make me happy in the end. Obviously, I want the company to be able to pay for itself, and it would be nice to, take my wife out to dinner once a year with the profits. But right now, I'm pretty happy with Watchful I Studio and what it represents, and moving forward, hopefully we can do well. So with that, I wish all of you a very happy, healthy, and successful 2021. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you all at conventions in the future. And, hey, post your comments. What do you want to see out of this channel? And what do you want to see maybe from Watchful I Studio? Do you want to be a part of the playtest group for our game system? Do you want to have any ideas regarding civilizations and what you want to see? Moving forward, we will continue to look at the civilizations that are all around the same time period that we're currently working on, which is about 600 to 200 BC. But we will be moving that timeline forward and working on other ranges as we kind of polish off the half a dozen that we want to do for that time period. So with all that, I wish you guys all the best. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to presenting you more fun content in the future. Have a great day. Happy New Year.